This is your Chargers linebacker, Dan Henley, and you're tuning in with Chargers Unleashed.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dale Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. Today's show, of course, will be brought to you by BetOnline, Aura, Athletic Greens, and Rock Solid Sports Memorabilia. If this is your first time tuning into the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. I don't know how many times I feel like I need to repeat it.
It's only June, is what you're going to say, right?
Well, it's June. That one's gotten really worn out, okay? Of course, we're just counting the days now until July 26 rolls around in the beginning of training camp so we can finally kick off the 2023 NFL regular season. But Dan teased it a little bit yesterday. And obviously, ears should prick up, the eyes should wide open, attention needs to be paid.
Lightning bolt emojis.
Exactly. When Dan Wolkenstein works the phones, it always means good things for Chargers Unleashed. And that is no different today, as we have a very special guest joining us on the show today. And Dan, as usual, I will let you do the honors in telling everybody who that is.
Yes. On the heels of us talking about the 5 C's with diamonds and talking about the 3 C's of the attributes that Eric Kendricks brings us, Diamond in the Rumph himself, Chris Rumph, is joining us here on Chargers Unleashed during the time away. So thankful for his time in getting to us and hanging out with the fellows while he is no longer at camp. He has another month or so until camp starts.
It's literally exactly a month.
So going to talk about a lot of things. Going to talk about how the defense can fix the run defense issues, kind of what his expectations are of this team, the defense, kind of talk to him about what he's been working on during the offseason, talk about fellow rookie that we have in the edge group, Tuli Tuipulotu. Lots of stuff from Chris. Always an amazing discussion, tons of energy, super fun discussion ahead with Chris Rumph entering his third and pivotal year for not only him, but for this Chargers team.
Absolutely. He gets to spend the next month just on vacation for training camp, whereas the rest of us get to spend the next month just counting the days in sorrow and solitude.
Yes. But before we get into that, Jake, let's pay the bills. We actually have, this could be a fun little introduction to kind of a new type of segment we do for Over Under, where listeners, viewers actually submit possible Over Under. So we actually got our first one.
I like this.
Yes. So at Papa_Carter1 submitted this one for an over or under.
This is creative.
Over or under forced fumbles on special teams this year by Deion Henley.
Wow.
Over under on, we'll go 0.5 fumbles caused or fumbles forced by Deion Henley on special teams this year.
This is a great time to ask me this question because obviously this is, while we're in the drum-dums of June, I am still relatively optimistic during this time of year. So what the hell? We've been hearing everything good as far as the expectations for Deion Henley on where he's going to make a early impact, and that is being on special teams outside of what he's going to bring to that linebacker position. So what the hell, man? Over.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, now that the intro is over, Jake, let's talk about our friends over at BetOnline.
Yes. Once again, want to remind everybody that BetOnline remains your number one source for all of your sports betting needs this season. Always the fastest and easiest way to get all of your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your very own home. Get into the action today and head on over to the website betonline.ag or use your mobile device to join. And be sure to use that promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Dear friend of the show, number 94 of your Los Angeles Chargers, Chris Rumph, joins Chargers Unleashed next. Entering his third season, looking to shine bright like Rihanna, Chargers end defender, very good friend of the show, joining us during his off time, very gracious, hanging out with the Chargers Unleashed Nation. Chris Rumph, welcome back. How have you been? How pumped are you to be entering year 3 with this team?
Year 3, man. Gosh, I mean, time's flying by.
That's wild.
It's crazy you say that. Because I remember, it's crazy because I remember the first time I was on here with my rookie year, just got drafted, and that was not too long ago in my head. But year 3, you know what a year 3 means. Not a lot of talking. We all know what it means.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And obviously we're going to do some talking here, but we're going to learn kind of about what you have been up to this offseason, kind of go into some of the takeaways from you and the Edge group during OTAs and camp, kind of putting the perspective and that everything that happened with last year and last season against Jacksonville behind you and kind of what the team's doing. focus areas for you and the team this year, and also just kind of what to expect and camp goals. But I kind of want to start with some of the praise that you've gotten from some of the coaching staffs. Like linebacker coach Giff Smith talked about and praised the work you've put in this offseason, putting on some more muscle, kind of talking about your personal growth as a player. Like, talk to us about like what you've done this offseason and kind of what your expectations are of yourself. Yeah. This being your third year into the league, you know, how pivotal that is. Like, what's your mindset, your focus, your goals? Like, what's this been like for you?
Yeah, so, you know, taking away from first year, second year, everything that I've learned, I kind of know, you know, exactly what's going on with my game. I know where I need to be. So heading into, you know, OTAs and into this offseason, you know, I've just been focused on just getting better at my pass rush, getting stronger, and, you know, just kind of just rounding out my game, kind of, you know, taking the chisel to the rock and making sure everything's smoothed out. And, you know, Gift's been great, you know, helping me do that, especially, you know, we had Joey and Khalil for OTAs. So we've all been just hands-on with each other. Pause.
This is how you start a show.
On the rails with Chris Rumph.
Don't use that as a thumbnail, okay? Whatever you do, don't use that as a thumbnail. Yeah, like I was saying, we've all been just trying to perfect our craft, our pass rush, and perfecting our craft, and that's where, you know, my mindset's been this offseason. And then using last year as motivation, like you mentioned, you know, Jackson didn't sit well with any of us, you know, the way the season ended last year. So using that as motivation as well.
Yeah, and quick question, I guess, you know, we don't always want to shine everybody up. So I guess one of the other, I guess, the flip side of that, Giff Smith kind of talked about how he thought that you had left a lot out there on the field and kind of talked about how you could have easily had like 5 or 6 sacks and kind of needed to maybe finish more. How have you kind of worked on that? Like, do you work towards that? Like, how can you fix that? Like, what is that about?
That's a lot of, that's just a little extra effort. Honestly, there's nothing but never again type of motivation. That's all you need to know. I think that's where my mind is at. And he's lowballing those sacks. I watched the film, watched the TFLs I've missed. It's disgusting. It pissed me off, honestly. I'm not that type of player at all. And for me, just having those opportunities in the first place, I would be more pissed at myself. I wasn't even putting myself in that position. But, you know, the fact that I'm in that position kind of gives me, you know, a little balance out effect. That way I'm not too hard on myself, but at the same time I will be. But, yeah, I left a lot on the table last year, and all that did was just, anger me and just feed into, you know what, this is it. All you got to do is hold on for a second. You know, just get them down to the ground, and you have 8 sacks, 12 TFL season. That's way different than what I had last year. So other than that, you know, I know what I can do. I know I can play in this league. And I know I can be a star.
Before we go any further with our discussion with Chris Rumph, which is always amazing, I want to talk to you about our friends over at Aura real quick. New sponsors of ours, highly recommend them. And Jake and I firsthand know how important this whole personal identity theft issue is. As we're giving the giveaway out last week, we had folks who were trying to impersonate Chargers Unleashed and going into DMs of our listeners, telling them that they had won the giveaway, quote unquote, then asking them for their personal information, credit card, address, etc. So hits close to home. Check out our friends over at Aura.
Have you ever Googled yourself and were shocked to see your personal information exposed on one of those public listing sites? Data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more about you, like where you live.
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty.
That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura can identify data brokers exposing your info and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and brokers everywhere are legally required to remove your info if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do. So let Aura handle that for you. You could try Aura for up to 2 weeks using this link that we're going to put up here on the screen. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats that you cannot see. So make sure to check out aura.com/Chargers Unleashed to get a 14-day free trial and see if your personal information has been leaked online.
Now back to the show with Chris Rumph.
Chris, obviously, OTAs, minicamps in the rearview mirror. I know you got your time off right now. We're just waiting for training camp to finally roll back around. But talk to me a little bit about, again, this being your third year. your takeaways from minicamp and OTAs. I know it's completely different as far as the dynamic. It's kind of just getting everybody back together, getting a little bit of a rhythm of things. Mm-hmm. But specifically talk about your perspective on kind of the takeaways from the edge group, and then especially with Derek Ansley at the helm, talk about just the overall POV of the defense in general.
We got a lot to prove this year. We looked at the film. Coach Ansley's been great. Stepping up since Ronaldo went and then passed on. But we've all been motivated. We all, like I said, we all have a salty taste in our mouth the way we ended last season, and there's not a lot of talk. I think everybody knows what we're capable of, and nobody wants to go on. Everybody's going to, hey, we're going to be great this year. We're going to do this and that. And for at least my perspective, including me, we're done with all the talking. We're ready to just show it. We're ready to go prove it out on the football field. And that's it, honestly. I mean, not shut up and put up. That's it.
I don't know how the team really feels about this, so I'm going to ask you. Like, everyone's talked about, and it's kind of like been beaten, like whatever at this point. I don't know, I want to say politically correct 2023, but like the Jacksonville loss, like I think some people, they want to erase it from their memory. Some people are talking about wanting to use it as fuel. Some people seem to be like aggravated when it gets brought up. Like, taking a pulse of the team, like how do you guys kind of manage that? Like, is that something where you use it as fuel? Is that something that's kind of different person to person? Like, what is kind of the takeaway? Maybe that's a better way of putting it. What's the takeaways of that game? Like, how can you use that moving forward?
Yeah. I think the way we take it, or the way I would kind of assume that everybody takes it away, is that it happened. You can't run from it. It's always going to be on film. It's going to be in the history books. So you can't run from it. Can't hide from it. The facts are the facts. And the only thing that I can, see that doing for our team is, anytime we're in training camp, we're, down bad. It's week 3, joint prep this week. And all of a sudden you remember that 27-3 feeling. And then it's okay. Let's go. Let's push it. Let's keep going. We know we can get there. Let's achieve better, and let's do better for each other.
Talk to me a little bit about the current state of the edge position right now. Obviously, Joey coming back sounds like he's fully healthy. Khalil Mack stepped up in a big way during that absence last year. And then with you now in your third year, and now you have Tuli Tuipulotu coming in to join you guys as that edge group goes. Tell me just as far as just the state camaraderie between your guys' group, your guys' goals, whether it's individually as a group. Just talk about that heading into this year. Like, have you guys gotten a chance to just, gather around and powwow, talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, during OTAs, we'll have, position meetings and, we'll start just talking to everybody. But the vibe I get from the edge room is, everybody wants to be the best. And I love it. It's going to be a lot of competition. Joey and Khalil, two-headed monster at the head of it. And then, me, Tuli, we got Andrew Farmer, Ty Shelby, Carlo Kemp, Brevin Jordan. We got a great group heading into training camp. And we all love each other. We're really close already. And then, you go back and, watch any of the clips. I know the social media team, shows us all the time, man. We're always kind of just, talking and bouncing ideas off of each other. One way to do a drill better. I think we're just really closer than I would expect, for a very young room, aside from the two.
I want to piggyback on just one thing there, Dan, real quick. I know when we had you on this show last year, Tuli, it was we were talking about how Joey Bosa had graduated your nickname to finally saying that you were no longer a string bean in your rookie season anymore.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did he ever end up giving you like a different nickname after he says like, okay, we're past that one. That's no longer his nickname anymore. Did he ever end up, giving you a new one after that?
Well, he certainly doesn't use that one anymore. Me and Joey had a heart-to-heart about that. But no. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, we got so many nicknames for each other. It's just whatever the day is, whoever's mood we're in. But no, we definitely graduated. I think we're leaving the vegetables behind.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Third year, you got to get something, get a stronger nickname in there. Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah. Yes. What's your impression been like of Tuli so far? Like him specifically?
Tuli's great. He's already asking questions. And like I said, we're all comfortable around each other very fast. And I think, coming in as a rookie, especially, with two guys like Joey and Khalil. Some guys might feel, a little shy, don't want to ask them. That's not him at all. He's willing to learn, and he's going to be good too. I like Tuli a lot. He's good people.
Now, Chargers senior writer Eric Smith has put a bunch of kind of profiles out of some of the assistant coaches. And I got to put you on the spot a little bit here, and I'm kind of pushing back on him just a little bit. But I guess he had talked about, when asked about kind of the D-line group in general, he talks about how, like, the team is loaded at defensive line. You got, obviously, you got Khalil Mack, you got Joey Bosa, Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin, like, obviously. And, Super Bowl aspirations. But then, you snap back from that, and then you look at, like, what happened last year. Like, obviously, injuries is a big deal, but, like, the run defense sucked. We're just going to be blunt. And, like, how do you guys internally kind of compare and contrast, like, being loaded, but then snapping back to, like, the realities of the results that bear?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of that, when you got guys coming in and out, you really can't get a chemistry with the full D-line. And then, with Jerry leaving last year as well during the middle of the season, it's just it's really just chemistry. And that's, I think, towards the end of the season, you saw us playing better, and that was more of us, getting used to playing with each other for a long period of time. I mean, it's not going to happen in 3 games or 4 games at that, but and then we're coming together and building that trust, and that's what defense is, man. A lot of people don't realize it's not really it is X's and O's, but as much as it is that, it is trust and chemistry and working and knowing what type of guy you're working with. On the pass rush down, some guy might rush differently than the other guy, and then you have to adjust your pass rush based off of that, knowing how he's going to play. So I think, looking back, our run defense did suck. I mean, I'll be the first to say that as well. I was a part of it. But like I said, it's like it's the trust and the camaraderie. I think we've built that. And our third year in the system, especially with the guys that Coach Staley brought in his first year, we all know the ins and outs, and with that comes knowing, specifically where everyone's going to be. So I know what type of, shots I can take. I can swim this guy, or I can take this inside move because I know the linebacker is going to be there at the ball. You feel me? It's little things like that over time you build.
You touched on it a little bit there as far as the run defense goes, because I wanted to talk about just as far as overall biggest areas of improvement for this defense. And like you said just a second ago, as far as the run defense goes, but just in general, how have you guys kind of taken that approach as far as drilling down on the little things to improve on? What's kind of been the message from the coaches to say, like, okay, this is where we need to be from a defensive standpoint heading into this year? What's kind of been the general message as far as the defense goes in the locker room?
Well, a lot of that is scheme, X's and O's, but you, as a run defense, you really can't simulate that until you get to training camp. And you actually hit people, and then you fit gaps, and you see pullers coming at you full speed. So you really can't practice it like you want to during an OTA session, but you definitely can get the fits. You can know where people are going to be. You're supposed to know where you're supposed to be. I think that's what it was for us this offseason was, just very detailed in what our job is, and knowing the nuances we can do in between plays with that.
Having Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa together on the field obviously is massive. And we're going to talk about them here in a second, but like, I think underrated was the bringing back of Morgan Fox and how kind of the glue that he kind of brought to the team, at least on the defensive line. Like, talk to us about just like what his return to this defense allowed you guys to do this offseason and is allowing you guys to do this coming season. Because it felt like he was one of like the unsung heroes of the defensive line.
Hell of a year. He was very underrated. On our defense. He had a hell of a year rushing, and then you go back and you see clips of him taking on double teams and making TFLs and plays. So Morgan coming back, I mean, that's just, okay, now we can, business as usual with him. You know what to expect out of him. And then he's just a great guy in the locker room. Recently got married, so he has a little bit of extra motivation now with the ring on his finger. You got bills now. But yeah, Morgan coming back is just, okay, bam, boom, we got him. We're going to have the same guy, that we all love and care for.
Now,
go ahead, Ken.
Sorry, real quick. I guess for you having Mack and Bosa there, like what have Chargers fans been missing out on because they weren't together last year. They weren't both healthy in training camp. Like, this is the first year that both guys are there, ready, healthy.
Yeah.
Like, what are you expecting from those guys and from the group as a whole, but those two specifically? Like, is it the best defensive edge combo in the NFL?
Like I said earlier, I'm not even going to say anything about that because at the end of the day,
I like it.
talking.
I like it.
But I think you just go back to that Raiders game that they both, were fresh in. And
I was there.
And not only them, but the entire defensive line when we're healthy and, pinning our ears back. I think you just go back and look at that and you can kind of get a glimpse of, what they can do with a full season together.
Let's talk about another new addition to the Chargers locker room, because it seems like this individual has just been getting praise from the defensive line, from the secondary, from other coaches. Talking about Eric Kendricks, as far as your experience with him since he's been in the locker room, I know fresh face, but it seems like he's already just gotten so popular among the guys in the locker room thus far.
Oh yeah. Well, we love Eric, man. He's one of us already, and that's a great thing about our locker room. Like, any guy that comes in there, he's going to fit in and be himself naturally. So him coming in, being, the loud guy, the energy guy, but also him being, our middle linebacker, is great for our defense. And it's actually crazy you mentioned that because, he was in Minnesota last year. So my dad was kind of, telling me a little bit about it. And he was like, yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah, he's a good player, and he's going to be great for us.
Now, I guess kind of picking off of the Eric Kendricks topic as well as like the run defense. Like, I think a lot of people look at that run defense, and I think Mike Davis even talked about it on like a recent podcast he was on about like, if they could fix that, like, oh man, like that's like the one thing, and if we can fix that, we're straight. Like, how will you fix the run defense? Like, I guess like tactically, like, what's that going to take?
Like I said, I mean, we watched – trust me, I know. We watched so much film last year on the run defense, going through that little spurt. And it's just not other than – not using an excuse of injuries, but the chemistry. I'm telling you guys, I mean, it's the chemistry and just trust and knowing where guys are going to be. Because we're making split-second decisions, and – if we don't know who this guy, like where he's going to be, we might, okay, shoot, I got to do this. Boom, we got the gap. He puts it inside and he runs it. It's just little things like that. It's not a lot. And it's easy fixable with us. And also obviously tackling better too as well. But I mean, you can get that fixed in training camp as well.
And I think that's where kind of you parlay with Eric Kendricks, of what he brings to this defense. Like, do you see him being, along with chemistry, obviously, but like, how much impact do you see him bringing specifically as like kind of a signal caller for the front seven, as kind of like that run defender assistance? Like, how much of a lift do you think he's going to bring specifically to that seemingly of a weakness that was there last year?
Yeah. I think he's going to be a great addition to that linebacker room. I mean, he looks like he's a downhill, hit the hole, try to take your head off linebacker. And it's going to be fun to see that during training camp and heading into the season. But I definitely think he'll be a great addition to the run defense, and not only run defense, but, in the pass, because, he's a great blitzer as well.
I kind of want to put this in a two-part question, because I know, as you said, it's hard to assimilate the run game until you're in training camp. I kind of want to just go through as far as, has there been any talk as far as just the training camp goals for your guys as a unit, as far as to say, day one, this is what we want to accomplish for the next 3.5 weeks before the season starts? And then overall, I kind of know everybody uses the cliche answer as far as where they want to be for next season, obviously be at the very top, but just whether it's for you, for the group, any messages from the coaching staff as far as to say July 26th, this is what we want to set out to do. Has there been messages between you and your teammates or any of the coaches to kind of just give you an early indicator as far as what goals and expectations are going to be?
I think the way we always start is just going back to the basics. Tackling, beating blocks and takeaways, and on vice versa. Taking the ball, protecting the ball, breaking tackles, and making plays. And I think that's just as simple as it gets. I mean, we've done it. We did it last year. We head into the last 4 games of the year at a high level, and we know we can do it. It's just being consistent with it, and like I said, trusting each other and having the guys around you having your back as well, and tackling. I mean, talking with myself, I mean, there were so many tackles I've missed in the backfield, and we're not talking about, the run defense if I make a couple of those. So it's just like one tackle. It's one tackle, and, he gets 3 or 4 extra yards, and that number gets boosted. So with our mindset, we're taking it, as soon as we start training camp, we're dealing with that week. Okay, that week's done. On to the next one, on to the next one. We're not looking big picture. We're taking day by day.
All right, so then let's get to week 1. We're rounding out with Chris Rumph here on Chargers Unleashed to get to week 1. What are you most excited for this team specifically this year versus last? What's the biggest change?
I'm ready for the competition. Everybody's here. Everybody's healthy. We got a good team, and we got some guys that, we're going to iron sharpens iron, and we got them at every position. So I'm ready to go into training camp. I'm ready to hit some 1-on-1s, 11-on-11s. I want to, push everybody, not just push myself, but push everyone else to be great. And then head into the season, you just pick up where you left off.
Chris Rumph, appreciate you coming on, man. I know you have lots of time now where you can spend doing whatever you want to do. Probably not talking to us jabronis, but you're here, man of the people. Chris, what are you up to the next couple of weeks? Now that you have a couple weeks before down training camp.
Yeah, besides working out, training camp, football, and all that, but got a little golf tournament, family golf tournament in North Carolina this weekend. So we're gonna go out there, hit the links, beat my pops and his friends and his brother. And other than that, man, just working out. I took all my trips on the front end. That way I can get my mind right for training camp.
Nice.
I love it. Jake's a huge movie buff. Obviously, TV show. Got to ask you, Chris, what's been on the TV lately? Anything you recommend?
What has been on the TV lately? Oh, man. I've been in a movie phase. I was watching Demon Slayer. I watch anime. Y'all know I watch anime.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You lit into me the first time we had you on. I didn't know. I think it was Naruto. I don't even know what it's called.
Oh, you did.
Sorry.
Dan. Come on, Dan.
I know.
Look at Jake.
Did I say it right? I'm sure that was wrong.
It's cool, man. We'll let you. Hey, your family with friends.
Look, good. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about with that stuff.
Jake, on the other hand, I don't know if he's gonna let you.
I feel like I've carried Dan so far to certain things,
Okay.
especially when it relates to like the MCU, because Dan just was very uneducated in that, and then it's nice to have seen him progressively grow and finally get through Endgame, and has watched a few other ones since then, but. Dan, it's like I'm not even the biggest anime guy, but that one I know.
Yeah,
that one I know.
Yeah,
fine.
Oh, good.
Okay, enough of that. All right, that's been fun, Chris. It's been really fun having you on the show.
Hey, just edit that earlier part out too.
Look, we're going off the rails, the front end and the back end, but look, on Chargers Unleashed, this is how much fun we have. Chris, appreciate you coming on, man. This is so much fun. For folks who did not follow Chris, be on the lookout. He's got his golf tournament. We may or may not see some highlights depending on how well Chris does. If he does poorly, if you don't see anything, you'll know Chris didn't do too well. He's going to delay on the DL.
Oh, yeah.
Chris, thank you so much, man. Best of luck this season. Excited to see you out in training camp. Go ball out and prove all the haters wrong, all right?
Oh, yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
See you.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.